Hi everyone, and welcome to another speed build. Today I'm sharing another tiny home, or more accurately a micro home, because the last build I did was a tier 2 tiny home using that lot trait that came with tiny living stuff. And while that was pretty challenging because that was the one that had to be within 64 tiles, I didn't feel like it was quite challenging enough, so I really wanted to try my hand at making a micro home, which is the tier that has to be 32 tiles or less. And the inside of this house is actually less than that because I did place that 8-tile deck in the front of it. So I only had 24 tiles to work with on the inside, but I had a lot of fun doing this and trying to work with that cramped of a space. And what this build is supposed to be is a converted shed, because when I was looking for inspiration, like tiny home inspiration, I saw that taking sheds and then converting them into homes was a very common thing, which makes a lot of sense because they're about the right size, they're fairly cheap to buy. So I wanted to try to recreate something like that, even though it is very simple. So I went for a very rustic feel with this build and just used a lot of woods and a lot of warmer colors because I really wanted this build to have a cozy feel to it. And it also has a more mismatched feel to it than the last tiny home that I made did, because I really wanted to have this feel of just pulling together what you could get to make the house complete. Because while the last tiny home that I made had kind of this feel of repurposing things, since it was supposed to be partially made out of a shipping container, it still had this fairly put together and high-end feel on the inside, and I wanted this build to have less of that and have things that felt like they were old and they were just taken and used in this house. And I really like doing that and kind of having a bit of a different take on the more eco-friendly, repurposed, structure type tiny home. And I also added a garden out here because one of the bonus traits or bonus perks that came with this tier was, I think it was called Let It Go, or not Let It Go. It was called Let It Grow, although I'm pretty sure that was a Let It Go reference. But still, basically it made it so plants grow, I think, twice as fast. So because of that, I thought we just absolutely had to have a garden on this lot. And I can't remember what exactly all the other perks were. I think there was one where relationships grow faster because the idea is like you're crammed into this home, so you're going to get to know the people you're living with a lot better. And there was, of course, a bill saving one. I don't remember what all the other ones were off the top of my head, but we definitely had to have a garden to take advantage of that one Let It Grow one. But here I'm just going through the debug menu and pulling a bunch of plants out to try placing them around the lot, because I wanted to use a bunch of the ones that were unlocked from Get Together to make it so this lot blends in with the world around it better. And I was just so happy. Like, I know I've said multiple times that I was so happy about the patch that unlocked all those items, but one of the things that made me happy was that we now have more plants to use to actually match this part of Winterberg. Because when I built in this part of the world before, I always had a little bit of trouble finding plants that went with the rest of the world, because there's that one kind of tree all around it, the one taller, skinnier one that I placed in the corner there in the front. That's all around the world, and we didn't have that in the buy catalog, so, you know, I couldn't match that. And when I build, I really like being able to tie in with the world around and use plants that you see in the world around the lot. So I'm really glad that we're able to do that better now. And I just added a bike there near the fence. I thought that was like, just something about that was very fitting, you know, because this is an island that doesn't have roads on it. You have to get to it by a boat. So biking is going to be their way of getting around it. And I also stuck a scarecrow there because I thought that'd be something kind of fun to add to the garden area. And it's been a little while since I've used a scarecrow. And I added some other stuff in from seasons, like the water balloon bucket, and then I also added in beehives, you know, so that kind of goes with the idea that they're sustaining themselves, you know, they're growing a lot of the food that they use. So, you know, this does have a fairly off the grid feel. I didn't add a solar panel to it because I didn't really have a good spot to place that, but that would have been something good to incorporate into this. But right here, what I'm trying to do is give the look of there being a cistern that collects water. Because I've seen that before where, you know, rather than having the rainwater collect in the gutters and then just dump somewhere out in the yard, people will have that collect into a container. So that was a look I was trying to give, like that's where they get some of the water that they use for maybe cleaning or laundry and those kinds of a thing. And then we have a nice cozy fire for your Sims to relax around. And you could probably have 2 people living here if you want. It might be a little tricky because the thing is with where I place the Murphy bed, it does block the door. I think so I play tested the inside of this house a little bit. I haven't play tested everything that I want to play test, but it did work to where you know, they could place the Murphy bed down and they could get in and out of it perfectly fine. But I don't think when it's down, they're able to get out the door because it kind of blocks it. So it might take a little bit of coordination with that, especially if you have 2 Sims or maybe on different work schedules. But I think it is something that could work. And then I was just furnishing that little porch area there, so we just have a couple of chairs that I imagine to be rocking chairs, even though they aren't. But that's just something, like, that's the kind of thing that I feel fits in with this house so well. That we got a cooler so they can just relax out there with a drink and take in the views of the island. And I also did this kind of checkered pattern with the flooring because I saw Evelyn do that in a recent speed build, and I just thought that was so cool. And that'd be something neat to do to add a little bit of extra detail to this room. So that's definitely something that I've got to try in more future builds. But here I'm getting a start on furnishing. So we just got the Murphy bed there. And that is why I was saying it might block the door when when it's down, because it just kind of comes down right in front of it. But we only had 4x6 tiles in here, so I had to work with what I had. I thought that was something that worked pretty well for the layout. And this bathroom here is also really teeny, so it's not even 4 tiles. And we just have a toilet and a shower here because there's going to be a sink in the kitchen, so I didn't think there was a need to have a separate sink in the bathroom. So that was a good way to save a little bit of space. And I also used that open shower from Discovery University because this bathroom is so small that I didn't see the need to have an enclosed shower. And something I have seen when looking at tiny homes is that they'll do a thing where basically the whole bathroom is kind of like the shower, where you don't have a separate shower stall. The shower is just kind of, like you have your sink and you have your toilet, and then the shower head is just somewhere in the same room, and then you have a drain in the floor. So I was trying to get that kind of a feel with this bathroom, even though there is some separation between the toilet and the shower. But it's still all kind of one thing, and the water from the shower can still get into the rest of the room. But with this little space, you gotta do what you gotta do. And I also had to make some sacrifices with the kitchen here. So instead of having a full fridge, I ended up using the mini fridge and then putting the microwave on top of it, which is something that just works so well for tiny builds like this. So I'm glad that that mini fridge is something that works so perfectly with this. And you should be able to get everything out of it that you can get out of a full-size fridge, so you're not really missing out on anything by having that there. And then for the sink, I at first used just a regular counter with a sink in it, but I thought this, like using this laundry tub, worked a lot better. Like they just found some secondhand laundry tub and put it in their house, because I imagine that would be a lot cheaper than getting a counter with a sink cutout in it. And it just has this really charming rustic look to it that fits in this house so well. And here I'm just adding some dishes and such on these shelves and some other knickknacks, since I just didn't really think it would have looked as good to have had a cabinet there. Like I just thought this open shelving look would be really good for this house, and I just think this whole area is really cute. But as you can see, this whole build, or like this, this whole furnishing is very neutral. Originally, I wanted to have a bit more color into this build, have a bit more color in this build, because in my last tiny home build, I was saying that was the thing I wanted to do. But when I got started on this one, I felt like this warmer, more neutral color scheme suited a lot better. But I do have another tiny home that I finished that does have that more colorful, funky color scheme to it. So I'm really excited to share that one. That one is going to be a tiny home, or actually it's more of a small home, so it falls in that 100 tile category. That's the one that's supposed to be for a family of 5. And hopefully it'll be up in a week, because as I discussed recently, I am going to be on vacation when this video is going up. And if I can finish that other video before I leave, then that'll be up a week from now, because I'm trying to spread things out a little bit. But if I don't finish it, then it'll be up as soon as I get back, so in a couple of weeks. But either way, I am really looking forward to sharing that build with you all, because I just had a lot of fun trying different color schemes with it and trying to make a more cramped family home. Currently, I'm finishing up the furnishing of this house, so we're just getting a set of dining room tables and chairs in here. And I thought there was 3 tiles here for some reason, but there's only 2, so It was a little cramped, but I did find that this set fit in there rather nicely. And the one thing that this build is missing is a dresser, but I do end up swapping out the painting there for a mirror, so hopefully that fulfills the same purpose, because I think they can do with a mirror whatever they can do with a dresser, so this build should have everything that your Sims need. But we are almost done with the building part of the video, so as usual, if you want to download this, there will be a link to do so in the description. There will be other stuff in there, how to find it in-game, and that's going to be it for me, so if you enjoy the rest of the video.
Something's wrong, I waited up, wounds on my feet. Where will you be? Flickering through memories, the Polaroids yellowed in the sun, longing to be seen. So come and hide with me, hide with me, hide with me. Come and hide with me, hide with me, hide with me. Stars are bright, they call you up just to hear